Old people of Reddit. What were the back in my day things your old people told you about back in the day? My mom, born in 1927, used to say that in her day women always wore a bra. A 70-year-old friend of mine told me that her mom had caught, I think, polio as a child and the doctor's prescription was cigarettes and aspirin because vaccines hadn't been invented yet. Bringing his rifle to school, leaving it in his car, so he could go hunting after school. My great-grandparents said they complained about not being able to go to school because they had to work the farm after 8th grade, and could no longer make friends and socialize. My mother remembers when the Detroit River froze over in winter. She also tells me about buying socks in Detroit, and smuggling them back to Windsor in her bra. My father told me that people were afraid that if they traveled on trains that exceeded 30 miles per hour, they would disintegrate. My parents were both kids in the Depression, so shared lots of fun stuff. My dad collected coal along train tracks to supplant the household heat. Asterisk, back in my day, we walked miles uphill, through bush in the rain to get to school. Asterisk. My grandmother told me there were ice boxes, literally. The iceman came and there was access hatch from the alley for him to put the ice into. It kept food cold before refrigerators. My mother used to talk about her family's first television. Her mother used to talk about her family's first automobile. On the first cold day of winter, the women would butcher a cow and store it in the cellar. My grandfather grew up on a dairy farm. He bolted as soon as he could. And he always told me, whatever you do, don't be a farmer if you can possibly avoid it. My great-grandmother had friends that died on the Titanic. I remember her talking about that as well as World War I. Oh, and my great-grandmother learned to drive a horse and buggy, not a car. I'm not sure if I can. Back in the colonial days, this always led to the greatest stories of adventure and discovery. Every pickup truck in the school parking lot had a rear window gun rack with a rifle and a shotgun in it. That back in my parents' day they were lucky to get a dinner sometimes, so they ate everything on their plates. How dare I feel full and not finish my plate as a child? In my boomer father's time, Elvis was considered the trashy pop music of his day. My dad always talks about how back in his day you could hold mercury and lead in your hands during science classes. It wasn't harmful back then. That you'd bring change to an ice cream truck and get a lot for it. Like a quarter was enough for two people to get something. Instead of telling your date that you ran out of gas, as you slipped your arm around her and drew her close. Back in the day, you would tell her that you forgot to feed the horses. My grandma always told me how she had to wipe with large leaves. I never asked her for that type of info, but she always made sure to remind me. Great-grandpa used a manual two-man saw to cut down trees for the power company when it came to town. He got paid 25 cents a day and all the free lumber he could take. One time I had a church group tell me the hobo was Satan. God was Santa. I have no idea the correlation. We used to walk 5 miles to school every day. Barefoot. In the snow. Uphill. Both ways. You could smoke in a movie theater. Right after actually standing for the Canadian national anthem before the show. C. We're not that boring. That all you needed for a date was 25 cents. 2 hamburgers for 10 cents. 2 Cokes for 10 cents. And a nickel left over for the jukebox, lol. 1 scoop at Thrifty's ice cream cost 15 cents. Don't forget to share, like and subscribe for more content.